against Phoenix that year. The only two players ever to have more were in the 60s, Rick Barry, and the all-time record is Wilt Chamberlain with, just look at the number on your screen, Wilt Chamberlain had 3,218 points, and they only played two levels of playoffs. That's right. So again, Wilt had his own record book, but so did Michael, and he is the answer. Okay, let's get back to where we started the show today. Fresh off their deepest playoff run in 25 years, the Knicks have fired Tom Thibodeau. They did that yesterday, 3 days after they were ousted from the conference final by the Pacers. The Knicks were a slim favorite in that series. Thibodeau's successor will be the 14th different head coach the Knicks have employed since last reaching the finals in 1999. And Chris Mad Dog Russo was mad about it yesterday.
This is about Dolan. Don't let anybody in America hear you say, this is Leon Rose. Nonsense. Nonsense. Rose doesn't have any power there. Dolan does. He sits on the baseline with a dopey hat on, thinking that he knows something about, but he wouldn't even know who George Mikan is. This is not fair, what they did to this guy, who gave his life and blood to the franchise and took him to the conference, far been there since 2000. My God almighty. And you get him out because you lost a rugged six-game series to Indiana? Oh, come on, please. What a disgrace.
The mention of George Mikan, which is obligatory in any Mad Dog rant. You must mention a player who played before almost anyone in your audience was born. That's one of Chris's hard, fast rules, and I love it. You know, the more time I've spent thinking about this today, and JB, you and I think you sort of touched on it. Now, Chris just said in that rant, this wasn't fair. And he's right. If fairness is the objective, then this wasn't fair. He did it. There's no question he did a good job. But you know what? Life isn't fair. Big-time sports isn't fair. And maybe that's the most important lesson that we take from this.
What's the line from Jerry Maguire? It ain't show friends, it's show business.
Yeah.
Right? And that's really, this is a business decision. This was a business move. This Knick team last year especially, but even into this year, with Tom Thibodeau, Leon Rose, William Wesley, the Brunsons, the Villanova guys, it was a familiar, they were like a family kind of thing. It felt very college. And this year as well. But it started to go away because what happened? Expectations, demands, what you wanted to do, what you wanted to achieve, that became the ultimate goal now. Because while everybody was nice and everybody loved each other, then it started to become, but is it enough? Are you doing enough? And that's kind of what's happened now. And so the Knicks now have become about all business. Think about this. I know, Mad Dog went in on Jim Dolan. Jim Dolan is eating $30 million in contract with his head coach because that's how urgent they feel about winning a championship now. He is eating that money because he was told this is the decision we have to make, and we have to make it now. They're obsessed with winning a championship.
I want to look forward, but one more look back quickly, Coach. I mean, do you guys, and you just had this experience. You did an inarguably good job in Cleveland and got fired. Do coaches just accept that fairness is no longer part of the equation anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the job, and you understand that. It doesn't make it any easier. Yeah. But what I will say to you guys and to everybody, teams that are consistent through tough times, organizations that are consistent through tough times are the teams that end up having the most consistent success.
That's extremely well said. It is a lesson that the Knicks certainly have not learned over the course of the last 25 years. So, Jay Will, give me the characteristics, and if you want to, give me the name of who the next coach of these Knicks should be.
Well, I think it needs to be somebody that is innovative offensively, somebody that still brings the same kind of grit, grind to the table. I think there's a whole bunch of names. I have a tendency to kind of move away from coaches that have been there before, even though I do think Mike Brown would be interesting. But I'm going to give a dark horse, guys, and I'm sure everybody's going to react to it because he has no head coaching experience. But if you ask any NBA player how they feel about Rajon Rondo, they always talk about how brilliant of an IQ that he has. And the fact that defensively, offensively, he's great at building schemes on the fly. Ask Doc Rivers, one of those championship teams that he's won. He understands Boston extremely well. I'm not saying he's going to win, but I definitely think that's a name that people should consider to be an NBA head coach at this level because of his familiarity in the Eastern Conference and because of unlocking other guards in Jalen Brunson that he could be very good at doing.
It's an interesting name. Winman, give us some more. Give us some names that are being bandied about in the circles that you run in.
Yeah, so look, you've got a number of coaches who were very successful in their previous jobs who instantaneously come to the top. Mike Brown, Coach of the Year 2 years ago with the Kings. Michael Malone, who is a little bit rigid in his coaching style. I'm not sure it's the most perfect fit. Our colleague at ESPN right now, Taylor Jenkins. All three of them very successful, just let go from their jobs, would be at the top of any list. You have two guys who were not head coaches last year, in Jay Wright because of his connection with the Villanova players. But everybody I've ever talked to says that Jay Wright is not interested in coaching in the NBA. That's certainly a call that you at least would probably make if you're the Knicks. And Jeff Van Gundy, who has been very successful in Boston and LA as an assistant as a consultant over the last 2 years. The Clippers players raved about him. He has worked very hard with Team USA, where he would have connections to a number of the Knicks players who were part of the Team USA process over the last 5 years. There's a whole bunch of reasons why it would work. I'm not sure if Jeff wants to be the head coach of any team, much less the Knicks, where he was very close to Tom Thibodeau. And if I was going to give you one name to watch who hasn't been a head coach before that I think should get an interview, that would be Royale Ivey, an assistant coach with the Houston Rockets. One of the up-and-coming young coaches in the league was the coach of the South Sudan national team in the Olympics. He would be a guy, if you're going to put Rondo on the list, I would put Royale Ivey on that list as well.
Alan, do the Knicks have to hire some? Look, this is a tough job for a lot of reasons that we've laid out. The expectations are super high. The market is its own, sort of
crucible
animal here. Like how when you take those things into account, what things are you anticipating them doing when they look for their new coach?
I hate the word retread. You use that word. I don't like that. I think what you're looking for is resume. You're looking for somebody that has done it before. You also have to find the right personality, as you mentioned, for this market because of the demand. We're a little tough on everybody here, especially when there's expectations that are 50 wins is the bar. Anything below that, it's a failure, and that's a lot of pressure. I would also say, while you name all these names, remember, this is the Knicks. They have power. They have money. They can get who they want if they want to put all that behind it. There could be a coach who's coaching right now for another team. I'm not looking at you, JB. I'm just saying that could you pry a coach from another team somehow, some way? This could be a job that some coaches might look and say, I kind of like that situation better than what I'm in.
Well, you just perked my ears up. Let's keep a close eye on how that goes. In the meantime, while the Knicks try and find a new coach, the NBA Finals begin tomorrow night, and we will see all the action tomorrow night. Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers, SGA and the Thunder. Game 1 tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern. Coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 8 on ABC. Let's do a little quick coaching here for me, JB. So the world has already written this thing off. Everyone thinks OKC is just the definitively better team and will win. So if you're coaching, if you're Rick Carlisle now, you're coaching Indiana, give me your first order of business. What is the first thing you're telling your players we need to do to win?
It's offense, offense, offense. It's trying to figure out a way, how do you make the Oklahoma City defense pay for how aggressive they are? Indy's been one of the best three-point shooting team in the playoffs. It's going to have to come to fruition for them to win this series. They're going to get good looks. They've got to take care of the basketball. They got to find their shooters. Their shooters got to make shots.
Blueprint for an upset starts with exactly that. Both teams great high points off turnover teams. Both teams also low turnover teams. Something's got to give there. So if you're the Pacers, you're trying to get live turnovers, live ball turnovers, and score quick. Three-pointers, like you mentioned, 40% shooters. That's not something the Thunder have dealt with. Denver, when they made threes, they were pushing them. So that's also one more thing. And take the over. This has to be the highest scoring NBA Finals since 1967. We're talking about 244 points a game combined. That's how the Pacers can do it.
Jay Will, final word.
JB, I'll be curious to get your perspective on this. When I watched OKC against Minnesota, they didn't throw a lot of blitzes at SGA. I would try to limit him, blitz him, deny him the ball back, and force guys like Jalen Williams and other guys to score in volume to beat you, and not let SGA be the guy to beat you.
We'll get to that maybe tomorrow as we work closer to the finals. We could put the picks up on the screen and give Windman the final word. What are you watching for most? Windy doesn't make picks. Oh, we lost Windy. We lost Windy. He had to go. Oh, we do have him. Wendy, he doesn't make picks. Very quickly, what's the first thing you're watching for in this final?